This is a very important topic. This is my third press conference with EOPA and all topics that have been relevant to my work in the state assembly. I represent the 111th Assembly District, which is upstate New York, capital region, includes Schenectady. So that's where I grew up. It's a small city. It's not New York City, but it's a small city in the upstate region. And in my capacity as a state representative, I serve on the Committee on Energy. I've been there for every year I've been in office, so going on 12 years next year. I serve in that committee. Also, the Veterans Affairs Committee, something very important to me. It shows my dedication to what we're talking about here today: national security and the well-being of our residents and the people I represent. In the course of my service, I've witnessed firsthand some of the devastating impacts of climate change in some of these communities. And as a matter of fact, in my first year in 2013, we had a devastating flood along the Mohawk River that devastated a number of counties. And it was, again, my first term in office, and I'm witnessing this devastation caused by climate change, where communities that really didn't have too many issues in the past now are literally entire communities had to relocate or find someplace else to live. And it took the next 3 years, so finishing that term and into my next term, and millions of dollars invested to build these communities back. So the extreme weather since then has continued. There are a number of communities that continue to see this. In Schenectady, there's a small section called the Stockade. It's a very historical area. And it continues to see flooding. We have done some mitigation, but they still experience, from anytime we have extreme weather, we look out for that area. We have seen how these communities in just one small district in the assembly can be affected. So these experiences will fueled my commitment to championing environmental policies that prioritize sustainable communities and the well-being of our citizens, the people we represent. One significant milestone, and I've talked about this before in past press conferences, is one significant milestone of this commitment of the state and myself supporting this and helping get it passed is the New York Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act that was passed in 2019, and it really was a groundbreaking piece of legislation. It addresses climate change through a number of different initiatives focused on reducing greenhouse gas emissions and promoting clean energy, and we have done quite well in New York. We've set ambitious goals. We're trying to meet those goals. And what we're going to talk about here today is important because it supports those goals. It also emphasizes what was mentioned earlier, social equity by investing in renewable projects in low-income housing and prioritizing disadvantaged communities. These are areas that have suffered the brunt of pollution for years and years and climate change. And it prioritizes those investments, which is great, things that are happening right now. So we're here today to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act, which complements our vision in New York for a sustainable future. And this legislation is great for us because it plays a pivotal role in steering us towards that clean energy economy, enhancing our energy security, and reducing costs, which is important. Getting costs down so that people can participate in clean energy. By embracing renewable energy, our goal, of course, is energy independence, reduce reliance on fossil fuels, and ultimately that benefits consumers nationwide. The Inflation Reduction Act is a key component of what I think is a transformative era in New York State, and because it includes various measures to help lower those energy costs, such as rebates, tax credits, and renewable energy adoption. It also allocates funds for grants to support energy efficient building codes and makes a substantial investment, $34 billion in clean power generation and storage. So that's really significant. Fostering new jobs. Of course, this supports the economy as well. And these are good paying jobs. And again, we're trying to, from the local economy all the way up to, what the state is looking at. This is very significant for us. So myself, I served in the reserves right out of high school, 8 years. So as a military veteran, I also want to talk about the critical link between clean energy investments and national security. The Inflation Reduction Act is not just about combating the climate crisis. It's designed to bolster American energy security. And that's a big part of what we're talking about here today. It supports the manufacturing of clean energy technologies, stimulates local economies, and incentivizes small businesses to adopt energy efficient practices and clean vehicles. It also addresses, as I just said, the urgent need to shift towards electric vehicles. In New York, we have made significant progress. And what this does, it provides upfront discounts for electric vehicles, plans to expand charging stations along highways. That's part of making this work, and something that we have tried to advance as well, and aims at significant pollution reduction. We just talked about how important that is for especially marginalized communities and areas that have seen pollution year after year. So the good news for us is that this supports a lot of the efforts that we already have in place. We have set ambitious goals to increase the percentage of new light-duty vehicle sales that will be zero-emission vehicles, reaching 35% by 2026, 68% by 2030, and 100% by 2035. So it is an ambitious goal, but with the IRA and the assistance that we're receiving from the federal government, I think it's possible to be able to do this. Moreover, the Inflation Reduction Act promotes climate smart agriculture. I also serve in the Agriculture Committee. We talk about rural resources quite a bit. It's a significant part of New York State's economy. So you think about all the pieces that this piece of legislation touches, it really does benefit an entire state and the entire country. It offers clean energy tax credits for rural electric cooperatives, upgrades for affordable housing, which if anybody saw our last legislative session, that was a top priority, something that was discussed the entire time from January all the way through, and is still being discussed now for the upcoming session. So that is important to us as well. And investments in strengthening forest and community protection. So in essence, the Inflation Reduction Act and the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act go beyond just being pieces of legislation. They embody our commitment to the people who represent the environment and our collective future. Together, they empower us to lead the way in building a sustainable, resilient, and equitable New York and nation. Through these actions, we can create a legacy that ensures a clean, secure, and healthy future for generations to come. Thank you for being here today.